Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Cardano and its native token ADA, and we're going to be looking at a realistic price prediction for this market cycle. There's been a lot of things thrown around, like a $50 ADA. We put out a video yesterday essentially debunking the idea that ADA could go to $50 this market cycle. It would represent twice Bitcoin's current market capitalization. And I don't think Bitcoin's going to get to a market capitalization this market cycle that would allow for ADA to have a $2 trillion market cap. So what we're going to do is we're going to systematically go through a few different scenarios. So if you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. Also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. We're going to try to back up everything we do with math, right? We're not going to be looking at pie in the sky price predictions, putting out BS garbage saying, if ADA takes over the world, then this is what it's going to be. No, we're going to stay grounded, and we're going to do this one step at a time, okay? So the first thing to consider is, and by the way, the number of people that don't understand the difference between the price and the market cap is too damn high. It's too damn high. We get this way every time we get near local tops. I've seen it happen before, and you start seeing everyone in the comments saying, well, if DOT can make it to $35 or $42, then why can't ADA? Or if Link can make it to $35, then why can't ADA? You have to understand that supply matters. Supply matters. I don't have time to go into more detail because I do think it is somewhat common sense that price is not the metric you should be looking at. It's the market capitalization. It's the market capitalization, this number here. Bitcoin's market cap is at 925 billion. ADA's is at 38 billion. For ADA to get to say $50, which is what a lot of people have thrown out, it would need to go to essentially $2 trillion, which is twice Bitcoin's current market cap. And because I don't see Bitcoin going to a market capitalization of something like 20 trillion this market cycle, I don't think Cardano has a snowball's chance to make it to $50 this cycle, because it would represent a $2 trillion market cap. So understand the difference between price and market cap. Okay, there's too many people in the comments saying these types of things about price and market cap and not understanding the difference. So research that. Once you understand the difference and how supply comes into it, I think you will do better in the space. If you keep thinking the price is the only thing that matters, it will not serve you well. There's no such thing as I'm going to buy ADA because Bitcoin's too expensive, or I'm going to buy Polkadot because ADA is more expensive. Sorry, not Polkadot because ADA is more expensive, because people would think that the price of ADA is cheap, right? It's $1.21. So they might say, well, why would I buy DOT when I could buy ADA when the price is lower? It has nothing to do with the price. It has everything to do with the market cap, okay? So let's look at ADA. The price is at $1.12. It's already up from the bottom. The bottom was at around less than 2 cents. It went to $1.49. We essentially saw a 75x in less than a year. So the first thing I'll say about it is, en route to whatever the future cycle peak is for ADA, it will have more than one. If I had to guess, I would say it'll have more than one at least 50% correction, if not more than 50%. If you look at Ethereum from the last cycle, Ethereum had major corrections along the way. This one was 73%. This one here was 66%. Okay, and then we came up, and then we had another one that took us down 47%. This one here took us down 52%. We had another correction here that took us down 55%. So my guess is that yes, ADA will trend much higher than it currently is this market cycle, but it will have several 50% corrections or more. Things do not go up monotonically in the space. People have to take profits that we're buying at lower levels. You imagine the people that were buying Ethereum over here, they want to sell it up here, and then if it crashes, then they dip back in, or if it goes into a dip, then they buy back in. So with that in mind, ADA is now at about $1.12. Okay, now it's at $1.11, but let's just say it's around $1.12. So where could it theoretically go this market cycle? Well, one thing we can do is we can look at what Bitcoin's done in the past, and let's look at it as measured from peak to peak. So from this peak to this peak here, Bitcoin essentially did a 40x. Okay, and then from this peak to this peak, it did a 20x. Now, my guess is that from this peak for Bitcoin to the next peak, it will be less than a 20x. A 20x would imply a $400,000 Bitcoin, and I don't think Bitcoin's going to $400,000 this market cycle. Maybe a 10x is possible. I'm not going to say that a 10x isn't possible, but that is sort of where I would cap it out. And that's why I've often said that I think that the theoretical max for Bitcoin this cycle is probably between $100,000 to $200,000. So that is sort of what we get with Bitcoin. With Ethereum, the last cycle peak was at $1,400, and we've shown a lot of evidence to say that, to suggest that Ethereum could theoretically go to $10,000 this market cycle, which from the prior peak would represent approximately a 10x, okay? Approximately, we know that it actually went to $1,400 for a few hours or so, but we know that, or we've speculated that that Ethereum could make it to around 10K. Now, if it makes it to, whether it makes it exactly to 10K or not is anyone's guess. I mean, it could peak out before then. It could maybe go slightly higher than 10K. But I do think 10K plus or minus a few K, right? What's a few K among friends? I do think that that is where the cycle peak for Ethereum will be. And a lot of pushback on that one is, well, Bitcoin went from, from $100 or $200 to 20K. Why can't Ethereum go to 20K this cycle? Again, it all goes back to the market cap. It all goes back to the market cap. The market cap of Ethereum today is already 179 billion. So when Bitcoin was at 20K, the market cap is a lot lower than what it would be for Ethereum to reach 20K. So you have to think about the market cap. You have to think about it. And maybe we'll do a dedicated video on that at some point, but let's just keep this one on focused on ADA. So from here, where do we go? Where do we go for ADA from here? Well, we know the last cycle peak was at around $1.38. So we could suppose that maybe it'll put in similar gains to Ethereum this cycle. If it did, it would cap ADA out around $10. I mean, maybe a little bit higher if you were to look exactly from, say, a 10x from the last peak at $1.38, then maybe $13. I don't think $13 is going to happen this cycle for ADA, but I do think, somewhere between $5 to $10 could theoretically happen. Now, you might say, well, Ben, hold on a second. There's some things here that don't make sense, because the reason we hold these other coins is because they outperform Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin can put in numbers, if Bitcoin can go up, say, 10x from peak to peak, and you're telling me that ADA can't do at least a 10x, see, this is where the disconnect happens. Measuring it from peak to peak is not doing you any favors. Altcoins go up way more than they should at prior peaks, and then if you measure it from that point, you're sort of starting from a position that's not going to make any sense. The reason we hold these altcoins is from the accumulation phase they outperform Bitcoin, not necessarily because they outperform Bitcoin from peak to peak, right? And this is why I've always said that Bitcoin it has been, and it always will be, for the most part, except under extenuating circumstances when the market is crazy, the majority of my portfolio. Okay, it will be the majority of my portfolio. And the reason is because it stands the test of time. It reduces your volatility while still yielding fairly impressive returns. Okay, so ADA, I do think, can go to $5 to $10 this market cycle, but there will be several, and I mean several, 50% corrections along the way, at least, if I had to guess, at least 50% corrections along the way. So you have to take that into consideration when thinking about, okay, if you're new to the space and you're throwing in money at $1.40, and if it goes to 70 cents or 80 cents or 90 cents and you're down 30% and you can't handle it and you're going to leave the market at that time, you have to recognize that not only is a market cycle going to have those types of corrections for altcoins, it's almost assuredly going to happen. It's not just likely going to happen, it's almost assuredly going to happen, right? It's almost something you could take to the bank. It's not financial advice, but I can almost assure you that we will see major altcoin corrections along the way. Okay, so don't fall for the clickbait garbage telling you that it's going to go to $50, because essentially what they're doing is they're getting you to buy their bags. That's essentially what they're doing. So don't listen to these absurd price predictions. They're not doing you any favors. Stay grounded And I think that's the best way to go. Now, what we're going to do is we're actually going to look at the ADA Bitcoin valuation, because maybe this could provide some insight into where ADA could theoretically peak. Let's imagine the best case scenario. And what I would consider the best case scenario that we're going to consider is if ADA were to go back to its valuation that it had against Bitcoin in early January 2018. So if somehow ADA made it back to this point, where would that put it? Well, it would put it at 8,800 Satoshis. 8,800 Satoshis. Well, that depends on where's the price of Bitcoin at the time. Well, if Bitcoin is $100,000 and ADA reaches 8,800 Satoshis, that puts ADA at around $8 or almost $9. So we could get to a $9 ADA if Bitcoin were to go to 100K and then ADA somehow made it back up to that level. However, you also have to consider that Bitcoin could go higher than 100K. Maybe it goes to 150K. However, if history is any indication, the peak for Bitcoin will precede the peak for ADA. So maybe Bitcoin goes to 150K and then it retraces to 100K, and during that retracement, that's when ADA hits its high. And then at the same time, it would correspond to the same thing. Maybe it's $100,000 when ADA hits its high and ADA goes to $8 or $9. So that is what I would be looking for in terms of the ADA Bitcoin valuation at a theoretical cycle peak. This would be like the best case scenario, right? Like the best case scenario that I could possibly imagine. If ADA were to ever make it back to this valuation, I'm running for the hills with my profits. Just being completely honest with you guys. You know, I like to be pragmatic. I don't like to think that this time is different at any stage. Of course, maybe that won't always work out to be the best, but I would rather, if we reach this point, I would rather just take my profits and run rather than gamble on it going even higher. That's just my opinion. Of course, you have your own risk tolerance, and I would encourage you to figure out what your own risk tolerance is and stick to it. Now, what if we considered the ADA Ether valuation? Well, if ADA Ether went to, say, this level, which is around 140,000 or 0.0014, if Ether were to go to a peak of around 10K and ADA Ether went to 0.0014, then that would put the ADA Ether valuation, or the ADA USD valuation, at $14. But the same logic applies. The ADA peak, however, is likely going to peak before the Ethereum peak. If history is any indication, in 2018, ADA peaked first, and then Ethereum peaked later. So of course, we don't know if that's going to continue to happen, but that is something we have to take into consideration, is that if it does happen, maybe Ethereum peaks at 10K, but when it does peak, the ADA Ether valuation was lower. Okay, because maybe ADA already peaked against Ethereum when Ethereum's valuation was lower. Maybe ADA peaks against Ethereum at, say, when Ethereum's 6 or 7K, and then maybe ADA comes in at $6 or $7. So the point of this video is to say, again, you have to consider market capitalization. You have to consider where Bitcoin is, and throwing out numbers at this phase of the cycle where Bitcoin is already up 2.5x from its prior all-time high, and the market cap of Bitcoin is 1 trillion, the idea that ADA's market cap could go to 2 trillion is absolutely absurd, and the people that believe that this market cycle are probably going to get completely wrecked. Now, it's not financial advice. Anything's possible, but going into this like a $50 ADA is going to happen is not going to do you any favors. So this is why we put out a video on ADA, a realistic price prediction, right? We want to talk about a realistic price prediction. So I would say on the way to a theoretical $7 ADA or something over the duration of the market cycle, I would assume that there's going to be several 50% corrections or more along the way. We saw that with Ethereum last cycle. Now, another thing to consider is, where are we in the cycle? Well, here's our total crypto market cap. And I sort of think that the total market cap of crypto will reach approximately $10 trillion this market cycle, plus or minus a few trillion, right? Plus or minus a few trillion. What's a few trillion among friends? So if it does it sooner, it probably won't make it to 10 trillion. Maybe it'll make it to 6 or 7. If it takes longer and does something like this, then maybe it can get to 8 or 9 trillion. And if it goes even longer like this, then maybe we're looking at around 10 trillion in terms of the market capitalization. So if the market cap of crypto as a whole went to $10 trillion, is it possible that ADA, from its current valuation, let's look at this. So the current valuation of ADA is around $1.11. So the market cap is around 35 billion. For it to go up 10x from here, we would be looking at a $350 billion market capitalization, which seems somewhat absurd considering Ethereum's is only 179, but this is implying that Ethereum would go up as well. So if the entire crypto market cap is at 10 trillion, then I do think, a market cap of ADA of approximately 2 to 300 billion is theoretically possible, because we've seen these paradigm shifts in the cryptocurrency asset class before. My guess is we'll continue to see them time and time again. Okay, so hopefully this video is informative. A realistic price prediction for ADA this market cycle. Expect 50% corrections. Those corrections will likely represent opportunities, because the new money buying it at local tops will be frantically selling because they probably were putting more money in than they could afford to lose. That's where you come in, the smart money. You can buy up those dips en route to a much higher ADA valuation, but it's going to be a long and bumpy ride. As I started the video, right, the number of people that do not understand the difference between the price and the market cap is too damn high. Make sure you figure out the difference between them. That way you can have more rational discussions with people about what is theoretically possible. The idea that ADA is cheaper than Polkadot because its price is less is just, it's somewhat infuriating, to be completely honest. It kind of shows you where we are, right? How many new people are in the space that don't understand what the hell's going on. Okay, so price and market cap are completely different. Market cap is more important in determining the valuation of a cryptocurrency. The price is completely irrelevant. Completely irrelevant. It does not matter what the price is. Do not worry about what the price is in terms of trying to figure out future price predictions. You really should be, if you're looking to figure out where it could go within the grand scheme of the rest of the asset class, the price does not matter. Of course, you can make price predictions based on prior price movements. But if you're looking to if you're going to say something like ADA could just go to $50 because, well, Binance coin is at 234 and why can't ADA make it there? Come on, right? Come on. All right. Subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. We also have the altcoin season sale. Make sure you check that out in the description below if you want access to the premium content. We have weekly reports and videos, the alerts channel on Telegram, the Telegram chat room, the risk dashboard, the weekly reports, a lot more stuff, trading view indicators, etc., etc., etc. Check it out, lock in the low rate. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, check out the Telegram channel. You guys know the drill. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Bye.